Comitatus. Comitatus is defined as a band of warriors bound by loyalty to their king. What this meant in the medieval times is that the warriors would defend their king, and the king would reward the warriors with gold. Now you've got to remember, the king was not merely a figurehead. The king himself was a warrior. The king was a man worthy to be followed, worthy to be looked up to, and worthy to defend, because he was indeed a good leader. So the warriors would pledge their loyalty to their king by fighting for him, by not allowing marauding terrors to come to their kingdom, to hurt their king or to inflict danger upon the people. And the king would reward their loyalty with gold and with gifts. We see this throughout Beowulf. We see lots of presents given. And what this did in turn is this bought the loyalty of the warriors. The warriors saw that the king was willing to give gifts, so of course the warriors would defend their king because more gifts would be forthcoming. That's the concept of comitatus, and there was a very strict code of ethics that was followed in the rules of comitatus, or in the ethics of comitatus. For instance, a warrior could not survive the death of his king. If you were in battle and you were a warrior and your king died, you wouldn't want to return home because you would be looked at in disgrace. Now, if it was some type of a surprise attack, take for instance the tale of Finnsburg, we do see comitatus there in action. The warriors could wait out a period of time until their king could be avenged. So the idea was, if your king did not survive a battle, you sought vengeance on those who destroyed your king. Let's look at a couple of instances of comitatus in Beowulf. Right from the start, I'd like to look at lines 1246 through line 1250. I just think this is a very clear definition that we see, or a clear example of this in Beowulf. And it talks about the Danes' custom. Those lines say, "It was the Danes' custom to be ready for war, whenever they rested, at home or in foreign lands, at their lord's quick call if he needed them. If trouble came to their king, they knew how soldiers must live." So this was the life of the warrior. They knew they had to defend their king. We see this in Hrothgar's protector of the coast. There's the guardian up there who meets Beowulf and his men when they first land on Danish soil. The Danish warrior says this is in chapter 5 of Beowulf. The Danish warrior asks who they were, who their names are, who are their fathers. "Where have you carried these gold-carved shields from, these silvery shirts and helmets?" He says, "I am Hrothgar's herald and captain. Strangers have come here before, but never so freely, never so bold. And you come too proudly to be exiles, not poverty, but your heart's high courage has brought you to Hrothgar." So he's questioning them. He's being that sentinel, that barrier between a marauding band from the seas and his king. So he wants to find out, are they safe to let pass? And he brings them back to Hrothgar. And we know that this type of service is what is rewarded. We also see, speak of rewards, Hrothgar giving presents to Beowulf, lines 1020 through 1029. Hrothgar gives Beowulf presents after killing Grendel. So this was the duty of the king. If your warriors defended you, you needed to give presents, you needed to give gifts. And those lines say that, Healfdane's son gave Beowulf a golden banner, a fitting flag to signal his victory, and gave him as well a helmet and a coat of mail and an ancient sword. They were brought to him while the warriors watched. So Beowulf was rewarded for his service to Hrothgar. We also see later in the text Wiglaf supporting his king. At that time Beowulf is king, and Wiglaf supports Beowulf and defends Beowulf against the dragon. Now, what about kings who did not reward their people? We see Hrothgar warning Beowulf about pride in chapter 24. Hrothgar says this, he says, he warns him about Hermod. "Hermod, be not as Hermod once was to my people, too proud to care what their hearts hid, bringing them only destruction and slaughter." If you go down a few lines, it says, "At the end he was alone, knew none of the joys of life with other men, a famous ruler, granted greater strength than anyone alive in his day, but dark and bloodthirsty in spirit. He shared out no treasure, showed his soldiers no road to riches and fame. So here Hrothgar is saying, don't be as this king was. You need to uphold the ethics of Comitatus. You need to share your treasure with your warriors, and in turn your warriors will protect you with their lives. So that indeed is the ethics of Comitatus as seen in Beowulf. Again, the definition of Comitatus is a band of warriors bound by loyalty to their king.